I've been thinking a lot about clothing, and I'm a big TikTok fan, and I heard a TikTok that said a little piece of jewelry can elevate anything. And that really is a decoration on top of everything. Since my son was born, so about 10 or 12 years, I don't really wear jewelry much because it seems so superfluous and it seems so the effort is for some purpose that I'm not seeking to achieve. And so I don't wear jewelry. And I do now because you wear jewelry and you look so pretty and I want to match that. So I've started to wear jewelry on the podcast. And it just gets me thinking about what do we do that's for ourselves and what do we do that's for other people? What do we give up when we have kids because it's not as important? Like when women cut their hair really short when they have babies because babies like to grab hair and pull on it. Tell me your thought process when you get up in the morning.
We have 2 days a week that we record. So for sure, those 2 days are going to be full shower, hair, makeup, lipstick, jewelry days. You sort of have to back up a little bit. My entire life, my wardrobe has been for comfort, especially when I had little kids and like when they were really, really little kids. I wear patterns because when they throw up on me, it's a lot easier to hide that you're got spit up on you when you're wearing a pattern. So
I'm only laughing because that is so smart.
oh, it's crazy. Like every single time I wear a solid color, I regret it. I would say about a year ago, I just decided I was done wearing t-shirts and sweats because I don't have a little kid who spits up on me anymore. And we do podcasts.
I've had periods of my life where I was super stylish, like just did it the best. I think my favorite, when I was in high school, I would wear really nice clothes. And I was upset because I would dress in these, high heels and the jumpsuits and,
Yeah.
funky 80s wear. But at the end of the year, we had a best dressed section. And I think it was most popular best dressed person, but I wanted that best dressed so badly and I didn't get it.
Did
I didn't get it.
oh,
I was working for a consulting company and that was when you had to wear high heels to work or some sort of sandal. You couldn't wear tennis shoes to work. I love that about today. But I would wear these beautiful, colorful dresses. And then I had keds to match just about every color of dress that I had. So I'd show up in the morning with the right color keds and then I would put my shoes on from there. But I did it all. I had long nails. I got the manicures. I wore lipstick every single day. I couldn't go out of the house without earrings on. And then if things happen over time, I'm a car person. I love cars. I bought myself a 1978 Alfa Romeo Spider, and it was hurting. It needed so much love and so much work, and I was working on that car all the time, and that was not compatible with long nails and a manicure. So I gave up the manicure, and then I stopped the earrings and, and then dressed down a little bit. Since I've been working from home, there is very little reason for me to dress up. I think this podcast is a great reason to start dressing more nicely. I did also several years back, I lost about 30 pounds. And I'll tell you, shopping after losing 30 pounds is so much
it's
fun.
really fun.
And then I gained all that back and more, and they don't fit anymore.
That's less fun.
I was very pioneering. When I was pregnant with my son, I was a much older mom. And by about the 6th month of pregnancy with my son, I had told myself, there's no more pleasure that I'm ever going to get out of being pregnant. So I'm just done. I loved being pregnant so much, and then it kind of flipped, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot, and I couldn't enjoy it as much. But I always wore heels, and I always wore dresses. And at some point, about 6 months into my second pregnancy, I bought these bright, bright sneakers, and I would wear those sneakers just to work every day. And I would just be like, you know what? I'm wearing sneakers. I'm big, and I'm carrying this big baby, and I'm old, and I've got to wear sneakers. And no one said anything, but it was not normal at that point. To 12 years ago in San Francisco, nobody wore sneakers to the office.
The churches expected me to dress nicely on Sundays and to dress appropriately when I was going to go visiting. And I didn't have any money back then. I had just finished, well, 4 more years of school after college and then another 4. And so I was like student loans up the wazoo. So I didn't have money for a wardrobe, but I had to make it work because that's what they were expecting.
So both of our parents were in the corporate world, and I think that was really where I got my expectation of you have to wear heels, you have to wear pantyhose. When I was young, maybe late teens, early 20s, I was interviewing for a job as a vet tech. And so I had the high heels, I had the hose, the tight skirt, the jacket, and I was thinking this isn't appropriate for a vet tech's office. And our mother said, no, you have to dress like that. And so I got to the vet tech's office and I'm walking around poop on the floor and the animals with fur and everything. I'm like, no, this is not the right thing to wear to a vet tech interview. So I think it really is circumstantial, but we were taught that the right thing to wear is the elegant, the suit, the put together, the polished.
Okay, so as a little aside, what do we think about fleece-lined leggings?
So that has the furry stuff inside.
I don't know because all I've ever done is seen it on the TikTok and I don't know what it looks like inside, but they look fantastic. But I don't know if it's literally like fleece like you'd expect on the outside of a fleece sweatshirt. I don't want that
Right.
touching my legs. But I
Yeah,
have to
yeah, agreed.
imagine that it's softer than that because they're very smooth. But apparently the men don't like them.
What? Oh, on themselves, you mean?
No, on women, apparently. Oh,
Okay.
well, the conservative men don't like them on women. And so I'm trying to figure out what it is about them that they don't like. I don't know.
So I have so many opinions on this, and I think this is gonna where we go deep. So I saw this TikTok, a horrible TikTok, where a man he wrote opinion in some magazine. Here are the top five men repellents that
This
women
is
are
the
doing.
one I think I
Have you seen
saw.
this? I don't want you and I to go into what those top things
No.
were because it's so irrelevant. Why does a man have an opinion about what women are doing for themselves? And then also there's a component of it that these women are probably doing some of these things to impress men,
Yeah.
and the men are saying no, don't do that, but then if you don't do it you're going to be judged for not doing it.
Yeah.
So I think we're setting ourselves up as a society for men to oppress women. We're back right here again.
Always. Our
Yeah.
conversations always lip around. I did also see a TikTok recently, and it was from a creator that I respect. And he said that he's been asking women how they would prefer men to flirt with them. One of the things that the women said was just don't.
Hmm.
Like catch the vibe, right? Pay
Right.
attention. But the other thing that they said was if you must or feel really compelled to compliment a woman, compliment their choices, not their biology. So
That's great.
their choice of something that they've chosen to wear or their earrings or the book that they're carrying or the item that they've just picked up off a shelf, something that they're choosing, do not compliment their body. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I actually hadn't ever thought about receiving a compliment that wasn't about either my body or my clothing. So even for
I
him to say, about the book I was holding, and I was like, who would notice that? Who would
well I
even
think
pay
it
attention? And that's who we'd want to attract, right? People who would pay attention to what we're reading.
so here's a dark truth.
Okay.
Women will also typically compliment the biology of other women. Oh, your hair looks so
Yeah.
good. Your skin looks really good. You can't see those wrinkles. Oftentimes, I find it's women doing the same thing and complimenting the outer beauty of another woman.
I'm guilty of having done that. I do that
Of course,
actually probably
yes,
more frequently than you'd imagine. For one, I'm not after anything.
right,
So that was the other thing
right.
that he said was that even just offering a compliment is a little bit of a point of privilege because offering a compliment then demands a response. And so you've just placed on her a task to have to respond to the thing that you've said. So I was like, okay, I get that. But I feel like if a woman is saying it to another woman, there's no expectation of a response in the same kind of way. Because when a man compliments and you don't respond, the consequence could be anger and a whole just ugliness. Whereas if a woman says something to you and you don't respond, they just move on because we've been there. We understand how exhausting it is to always have to respond. The other thing is that when a woman goes out into the world and puts the effort to do lipstick and nice shoes or accessories, my assumption is that they feel good in their body and that they want to feel pretty that day. And so I
Makes sense.
think it's okay for a woman to give another woman that validation, like, yeah, you rocked it today. So I don't really have as big of a problem with women doing it. Now, what I don't want is for women to be like, "Oh, girl, no, don't wear that. That makes you look fat." Don't don't do that. Don't do that. That's
I
not a
don't hate that as
positive.
much.
That's not a good way to what? What?
Well, I would never say that to another person, but if
Oh my God.
I had something on my nose for the entire hockey game last week, and none of my friends said anything to me.
Your friends need to be looking out for you. Trope used to be like when your dress was stuck in your pantyhose,
Yeah.
which was horrifying back then. I mean, good
Stop wearing
Lord,
pantyhose.
nowadays people would probably go out with just their pantyhose on.
For sure.
I mean, I've seen it
It's a
on
look.
TikTok. They're like, "Look at my fleece-lined linings, woo!" And my gut reaction is like, "Oh, oh, okay, okay.
No,
Should I
that's
not be
our
seeing this?"
conditioning.
It is. It is.
So
It's
before we get
generation.
too far off of this topic, I'd like to propose to the world that we normalize men, and I'm going to be very gender specific here. We normalize men doing drive-by compliments of women with zero expectation of a response. I think that would be a very nice compliment.
Okay,
Because if the goal is to make a woman feel better or feel good about herself or her choices, then the response isn't necessary in that transaction. If the goal is to get her attention, then the compliment really isn't as pure as the compliment should be, could be.
with the caveat that we still avoid the compliments about person's body,
Of
their
course.
hair, their nails, their shape.
So I struggle with this with infants because the normal reaction when you see a baby, oh my goodness, that's the cutest baby. Look how pretty, look how good, their beauty. And I always have hesitated with this that I don't want that child growing up thinking that their value lies in what they look like. So I try to come up with something else like what a happy looking baby or that baby looks
No,
content
no,
or
no, no,
something.
no, girl, because if you say to a parent, a brand new parent, "Boy, that's a really happy looking baby," you literally have just said to them, "That baby's not cute."
I can't say the baby's cute.
But that's
Of course their baby is cute, but I don't want that baby growing up or the
okay.
parent thinking that the value is in them, what they look like.
What
I
the
think that's a huge problem in our society is the value of what we look, the value of who we are is based on what we look like.
Okay, 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 okay.
Okay,
First
so
of
for
all,
everyone I've ever said that to, your baby is so cute.
yes, thank you. That's what you, yeah, okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, the baby isn't going to internalize you telling the baby's parents that they're cute. That's
As the baby grows up, the
Well,
baby
then
might.
we're talking about, if you're talking about a 3-year-old at the playground, you could say, "That was so kind of you to share that." That's a totally different thing. You're talking about babies. Girl, babies are cute. And even when they are what a beloved auntie used to call a that'll do baby, even when they're a that'll do baby, you tell the parents that baby is cute.
Okay,
Okay.
I've never seen a that'll do baby. I think babies are just adorable.
Then say that.
Even the
You could
funny
just say
looking ones are
that.
so
Okay, so
adorable.
here's the other thing is that we as human beings, what we see of another person is the very first cue that we get about how that interaction is going to go. And so while I don't think it's appropriate to be commenting on grown women's bodies, I do think that there is something in acknowledging that all I know about you is what I see in front of me. And if you're a brand new baby, what I know about you is that you're a brand new baby and you're not yet smart, or we don't know. Maybe they're smart, maybe they're not, right? Like we don't know if they're going to be kind. We don't know if they're going to be thoughtful or sharing or compassionate or empathetic. We don't know any of those things. The one and only thing we know about them is that they're cute. Girl, don't be telling parents their babies
It's
look happy.
backfiring.
Yeah, if someone came up to my baby and went like, "Oh, they look so happy." I'd be like, "You saying my kid's ugly?"
Okay,
Because
point taken, but that's not my intention. I
I
think it
know.
comes back to what is the purpose of a compliment, right? I mean, because in my mind, the compliment is to brighten that person's day and also to reinforce societal values that we all want to reinforce.
Okay, now that you've brought this up, I do think that it is possible that as white liberal women, we may have pushed that disdain for beauty so far that we have forgotten that beauty is actually something that some of us still want to aspire to. And not as the only value that we have. It's not that our entire worth is tied up to our beauty. But I don't walk around the world saying to myself, oh my God, I hope I'm not beautiful today. I just don't. If I'm being really completely honest, I want to be pretty. I want to be beautiful. I want to have people look at me and not be like, "Oh, girl." I want that. So I don't
But
want
you,
that to be my only identity, but I do want that as an identity, which is why I don't have a problem complimenting women, especially when they've come out into the world presenting as though they do care about their beauty. So,
so can you feel pretty out in the world without someone saying that you look good?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. The people don't have to say it to me for me to
Okay,
feel
that's all I'm
it.
saying. So I went out to listen to some music with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while. And I showed up. I had been podcasting that day and I put on a nice outfit. And one of them was giving me a hug and said, "You look so nice. Oh, but you look nice every day." So I think there was this initial, like, I wanted just a gut feeling of, because I did look really nice. I had lipstick on, which I never wear out in public usually. And so the reaction was, "Oh, you look really nice." And that just came out. And then I think my friend realized, oh, that probably makes it sound like I don't normally, there was some backpedaling of, oh, I didn't mean to call out something about the way you look.
That's exactly the point I was just making a minute ago. I think that in our effort to try to take beauty off the table as a value, we've taken it off the table. And I think that it's okay for us to acknowledge that, like, yeah, today you look great. And it's different than you look normally. And it doesn't mean that you don't look good normally, but I don't have to say it. Like that over apologizing, I think is what I'm talking about. Like I don't think
Wow,
we
that's
have to
Canadian.
over apologize. Oh, really?
Canadian
It's a
too.
Canadian thing? I mean, it's kind of a Minnesota thing too.
Okay, so I think we view things the same way, but then if we take your argument a little bit further and say that beauty is a value, it is a virtue, it is something that people aspire to for their own
Some
mental
people,
health.
yeah.
If I go out in sweats, then am I not aspiring to that virtue?
Maybe not
If I
that
go out without
day.
makeup on,
Maybe not that day.
but do I have less value because I've not put the effort into what I look like?
No, of course not, because beauty is only one of a multitude of values. And on certain days, for our own selves, we're going to value certain things over others. Some days I value comfort over beauty. Some days I
Hmm,
value,
hmm.
like going to the airport. I'd rather wear sweats to the airport because comfort over over beauty on an airplane, right? It doesn't diminish your worth when one of the values isn't you're not expressing that day.
But if one of my people I met out in the world said, "You look really comfortable today," I would be unhappy with that. You look so comfortable today.
Because comfort isn't a visual thing. Beauty is a visual thing. So you want people to say what you look like. I guess a way to compliment comfort. I mean, I don't know. Let me think about that. How would you compliment comfort? You probably just don't. Don't
Right,
compliment comfort.
right, right.
I mean,
So
I
that's an
guess you
intrinsic
probably
value.
could. So you could walk into someone's home and you could go, "Wow, this place is so cozy and comfortable. Like I feel comfortable here in your place." So yeah, I
It's
mean, you
it's
could.
different your clothes versus your house. Of course you want your
Yeah.
house to look comfortable,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that is one of the aesthetics one could aspire to.
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of a similar situation where, like, in the United States and probably in Canada too, if someone says to you, "Oh my God, when are you expecting?" and you're not pregnant, huge, huge insult because bellies are not okay in the United States and in Canada. But I was watching TikTok just the other day from a woman in Africa who said, y'all in your tiny bellies, she said, here bellies are beautiful. Not
Right,
just weight, bellies, sticking out bellies because it means you're well fed.
right.
And the only difference is perception.
I feel like curves are more accepted here than, well, I came from California, which is a completely different world altogether.
Well, and you also have to give time as well. So I
Yes.
want to just lift this up for a moment. You said that curves are more widely accepted right now. Thank you, Black women. Thank you.
Okay, thank
This
you,
is
Black
you.
women, for so many things,
Yes, yes.
including this.
But one of the things that Black women did was they showed up with their booties and their boobs and their athleticism, and the world shifted to that beauty standard. And I was like, yes,
Finally.
please, thank you. So, I'm very much happier with the world being more accepting of all body sizes.
We're going in the right direction. I think also for me personally, there's a difference between curves and flab. So I don't mind curves. I've always had some curves. Even when I was skinny, I had curves, but now I've got flab that I don't like. And
Yeah.
I would embrace the curves. I don't embrace the flab.
On yourself.
Yes, of course, on myself. I judge myself by a different standard than I judge anybody else in the world, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of it.
Yeah. I have had flab almost my entire life, so I don't really know what that experience is to not have that.
My experience as your sister is that you have always been one of the most beautiful people I've ever known, always.
Thank
I
you.
have this weird thing about I've always thought that you had this exotic beauty because you have brown hair. I just thought, well, she's like that exotic
What?
beauty.
Brown is
Yeah.
like the most mousy blue color. I
But
actually
I'm
had
blonde.
I had someone tell me that my hair was mousy. I'm
You should be
like,
listening to me, not to that person.
I do listen to you.
I know, I know. Yeah.
Today, on camera, our hair's the same color.
Yes. Yes, that's so funny.
And I'm not colored right now.
I'm
I
not,
haven't
well,
colored.
I've
I
never
haven't
colored my
colored.
hair.
No, I only ever color my hair blue and pink, purple.
I went red for about a year or two.
Yeah,
Bright red. That
that
was the one
was
time I colored my hair.
that was not a great look for you.
I like I like my hair. But one of our good supporter friends said that it's all the same color, my hair, my wall and my skin.
Great. So
And it's
my
only getting lighter. It's getting dark. Well, it's going to be gray someday.
I'm getting grays and I'm loving this. Look at some of these streets. Oh, look how pretty is that?
That's so
I can't
pretty.
wait to go
I
gray.
can't wait to be gray. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
The like the streaks and yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting this. I'm getting the streaks. Okay, so let's talk about hair since we're talking about pride and vanity.
Are you relating to and engaging with this content? Do you have a friend you think might enjoy it as well? Please invite them to listen.
Okay, so let's talk about hair since we're talking about pride and vanity.
Yeah.
I have seen TikToks of women like making fun of themselves when they see their first gray hair and they pluck it out and like ah. And I just don't do that. I've never been scared of gray. I earned my grays. Every gray
I was
hair that
talking to
I have earned with blood, sweat, and tears.
I was talking to a couple friends the other day about getting gray hairs, and one of them said, "I love the gray hairs because they're thicker." I was like, "Yeah, this is the way to
Oh,
embrace getting gray hair."
I
It was
didn't know that
brilliant.
they were thicker.
Well, on her head they were thicker.
Okay. Up until, say, January of 2025, the world has been moving in a really good direction as far as acceptance of diversity, and particularly in this conversation, diversity of body types, diversity of age. There was a time when we were young, there were no women above the age of about 35 or 40 that could get cast in any roles in any movies. There were no roles for women who had aged out, and the aged out was like 35. And so I'm kind of happy with where we've moved to as a culture, although I do see a monstrous backslide with the way that the world is right now. But assuming that the backslide is a blip and not a shift in direction, I'm just really happy that we're living in a time now when we can be different sizes, be different ages, be different heights, be different colors, and it's all okay.
So let's talk about that in movies a little bit, because as we were growing up, that absolutely happened. As soon as a woman turned 30, 32, maybe, she then played the mother or the grandma
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and would often have a husband or sons who were older than she was, but men could always play younger. Women always had to play older. And they would pair up people who were very old men with not very old women as a couple.
Yeah. You know that the Golden Girls were all 50-ish.
I've seen the Golden Girls with modern hairstyles, and they're us.
The point that you just made is as soon as they aged into us, the roles that they were offered were the old ladies, Golden Girls, the golden years, when you're this close to death.
I'm so glad that that's changed.
So I'm not talking about the first kind of wave of Hollywood, but sort of the second wave, I think, of Hollywood, which was our childhood when the men aged out. All of a sudden now, there's all kinds of action movies with with older men in them, action movies, romantic movies, like everything. So as soon as the men were started to be affected by this aging out issue, suddenly now there were a whole lot more movies being made with older
So I'm
folks.
okay with that because it fights ageism, regardless
Yeah.
of whether it's sexism or not. But I think another big trend has been women authors, women directors. With this advent of new women authors writing screenplays and new women directors, they could see women and say, okay, you're 35, you're going to play a 35-year-old. You don't
Oh,
have to play a 55-year-old or a 60-year-old because you're too old now. I think there's more realism in casting people at whatever age they're at to play whatever character matches the aesthetic of that movie.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but Reese Witherspoon is a pioneer. She looked around and said, Legally Blonde, this is the role. I mean, she loved it, I think. She loved Legally Blonde. But then after that, then what is there else? And she was like, we're going to start our own production company with women at the top, women writing women's roles. And so she has just like exploded the opportunities for women, particularly women who are aging. And also size. In TVs and movies, the only time you would see a person of any size and that wasn't like on desk door skinny was when the role was specifically calling out that person's size.
Yeah, they were the cartoon character in that show.
They were never the lead. And I think we still have a little bit of that going on, but it is starting to shift a little bit. People of different shapes and sizes are getting roles where their body shape or size or color doesn't change the character. It doesn't matter to the character.
So let's look at the roots of this, because I feel like the assumption is that a moviegoer would want to look at something aesthetic, and that the assumption was the aesthetic was the stick thin female lead.
Okay, so this girl, you got me. You got me on a roll today. So there was a time, and this was not that long ago. I think it was maybe like 3 years or four, where Victoria's Secret was being pressured to offer sizes that were bigger. And the response that they sort of came out with was, we only want to provide lingerie for women that are beautiful. And the backlash
Oh,
that they got,
oops. Oops.
and the backlash included a new narrative, which is that you don't get to define beauty as only skinny people. So if you want to have lingerie that is beautiful on beautiful women, we need to not just make women be skinnier to fit your lingerie, but we need to shift what beauty looks like. And I think that we've started to do that. So when I was younger and trying to buy plus size clothing from a catalog was impossible because all of the models were skinny, wearing skinny versions of the clothing that I wanted to buy. And there was no way to know what it was going to actually look like on a real, a curvy body. Now there are curvy models everywhere, and not just for bigger clothing. There are curvy models, and it is fantastic, but it has made us have to rethink the beauty standard as it relates to size.
So here's an interesting question. I'm not a big shopper. I don't love buying clothes. I obviously I don't love buying clothes, but I wanted to buy some clothes that fit my body, and I've gained quite a bit of weight lately, so I'm shopping in a different size range. And what I found was maybe this is a mall problem and not a specialty store problem, but at the mall, the bigger clothing stores had a different style.
Yeah.
And I would love to have just the regular stylish, trendy outfits, just make those bigger. You don't need to go to a different store and have me look at these, these ugly tweed stuff. I want the pretty clothes in my size. I don't want my size clothes to be ugly. And I found that universally the style changes. Like, why does it have to change?
Yes, you're right. It does. I happen to lean into the style of the heavier clothing stores. Like this is something that you'd find in one of the stores you're talking about. And I do think that there are some companies who are starting to offer the entire range of a particular style in the entire range of sizes. Okay, since we're talking about size, 1X and 2X is not the same as XL and XXL.
Really?
So, in the ranges, in the typically sized people, you would get, the extra small, small, medium, large, XL, XXL, and maybe an XXXL. The XXXL is the same size as a 1X. So then when you move into the bigger clothing, it's 0X, 1X, 2X, 3X, 4X. So what you do is you go into the store and you think that when you pick up an XXL that you're picking up a 2X. No, you're not. No, you're not. And then you put it on, it doesn't fit. You know why? Because they're not consistent with their sizes. Some of the clothing will say, we go up to, XXXL. Girl, that's not even into that. What you need to be doing when you're looking for that range for companies that really are respecting that range is you need to look from the extra small up to like 6X. That would show you that there really is actually an effort to offer the style to all of the body shapes and sizes.
So you pointed out something that's frustrating me, and that is that from manufacturer to manufacturer, from store to store, the sizes are not the same.
No.
So I can try on a medium, fits fine. Try on a 2XL, it's too small. That's very frustrating. So I saw a TikTok a long time ago of a man who was married to a girl that was a little bit bigger than him, not size tall. She was just taller than him. He was kind of a petite man. And he was trying on her clothing, and on him, it was super small. Like he tried on a large women's shirt and it was tight on him, and he was smaller than she was. And he's saying, why is this a large? It doesn't even fit me, and I'm smaller than she is. And so there was a very different connotation of men's sizes versus women's sizes, because women's sizes have that voice behind them. Large, yeah. XX, X, how many X's are you? And I hear that voice. How many X's are you? And I don't see that same kind of connotation in men's clothing. Large, you're big or strong, right? And it's definitely a double standard.
Oh, 100%. I mean, their pants go by inches. 32 by 26 or whatever it is.
Right.
Why can't we just do that? Why can't we just do inches? Because then we would know for sure, no matter what store we walk into, if we're wearing a 42, that we're going to wear a 42 in every store.
So my brilliant 20-year-old daughter has come to maybe 5 or 6 years now only wear men's pants. She wears skirts and dresses that are made for women, but she wears men's pants because she can find the ones that are going to exactly fit her body. It's like, why mess around with all this women's, large, medium, small, whatever it is? I'm going to find something that is numbered for my body and buy that.
And you know that the reason why that is the case for women's clothing is because it is just one of multitude of tactics to keep women feeling small. And I don't mean physical small. I mean shrink small. If you are going into a store and feeling terrible about yourself because you're in an XXL, which is not that big of a clothing, that just keeps you down. So I do think that the whole entire clothing industry is contributing to misogyny. Oh, I said it again.
There it is. So we've covered hair, we've covered clothing, we haven't covered tanning, color of skin. Isn't it so fascinating? It's going to get complicated. That white women want to be darker?
Yeah. And darker women want to be lighter. Both white women and black women have created hierarchies of color.
Can we come together, all of us, and not try to come up with some standard that is not consistent or possible and just celebrate exactly the skin that we have? I mean, what do we have to do to get to that point? I think women could do it if we come together on that one.
Yeah, I think so much of it has to do with reshaping our own perception. Like we even just started our conversation today with I was looking at myself and I'm like, ooh, I'm white today because it's February in Minnesota. I haven't seen the sun in like 5 months. But I just feel better when my skin looks like I've touched the sun for a moment.
I think there's a different motivation, right? Having darker skin versus having that sun-kissed glow. It's not
Yeah.
quite the same thing.
I've done a little bit of research. You won't find this as much in the United States because of the way that our slavery system categorized people as people. So in the United States, when a white man had a baby with a black slave, if that baby had any black in them, they were black. And then therefore they didn't qualify as full people. In the countries across the sea, if a white man had a baby with a black slave, that child had white in them. And so they became white citizens, at least partially white citizens. So they would be afforded more of the opportunities that were offered to white people because they had white. Where in the States, black babies were not afforded the same because they had black in them. So I think part of what happened over the last couple centuries is that black women wanted to have more whiteness in them because culturally and legally they were offered more opportunities if they had more white in them. And so this really, really, really dark, which I think is gorgeous, that dark skin, oh my God. It just like, it stops me in my tracks.
I saw a report on how many famous people from the 40s, 50s, and 60s were black people who passed as white. And that makes my heart break so badly. Carol Channing was a black woman. Never knew that. I hate that we were in a system where that had to happen.
Blackness and whiteness is made up. So just looking at the people who you are talking about who passed as white demonstrates that there's a spectrum of color, but there's not a line where somebody says, you're this and you're that. We've made that a line because we want to be able to oppress those people, but it's not real. It's not a real thing.
Right.
It's not.
Biologically, it's not real.
Thank you. Biologically,
I think
yes.
in the United States, there's a significant cultural difference, and there's this amazing, beautiful culture that I don't understand as much as I would like to, that I think does bring people together in certain ways. Biologically, there's no difference. DNA is exactly the same. So how about this one? It just makes me so, so sad that a black woman who's complimented by a white woman on her hair, she doesn't like her hair anymore because there's this perception that white women like very different things than black women like about their own hair. And so if a white woman's complimenting you, then you've gone too long without redoing the braids or something, because that's when the white woman starts to like your hair. And this is heartbreaking to me. First of all, again, we should have no opinions about other people's bodies, right? And expressing those opinions when you don't know what that other person finds valuable about their own body, I think that's very fraught with potential harm.
I have heard that black women's hair is off limits as a topic of conversation and do not touch.
Yeah.
I was at the nail salon the other day, and the nail tech is from Vietnam. And a white man came in with his white wife, older couple, and he said, "Oh, you got your hair cut." And he reached over and he touched her hair. And I was just like, you better know her really well. Because if you are just a client and she's the tech, you cannot do that. You cannot be touching people's hair. And really the privilege that you have permission to put your hands on someone else's body is just mind-blowing to me. I don't know how we can never talk about anything when it doesn't ultimately come down to a problem of systemic misogyny. and systemic racism. I will put myself squarely in the camp of people who grew up with racist ideologies that I didn't even know I had. So I'm right
Yes.
now
Yes.
currently in a deconstruction, and oh man, I'm screwing it up all right and left. I do and say the dumbest fucking things. I've complimented black women on their hair. Now that I know that that means to them that their hair is not good, I will not ever do that again.
My gut is saying, okay, we're doing the best we can, but no, that's not good enough. It's there's no excuse. There's no absolving us of where we are. And so I'm just going to sit with it. Yeah.
Well, there's no absolving us where we've been. If where we are right now is on that deconstruction journey,
Yes.
then I think I've seen a lot of grace from black women for white women who are on that deconstruction journey. And at the same time, they don't want to be a part of our journey.
Of
They're
course.
done hand holding us. So this is the work we have to do as white women. We have to do our own deconstruction journey and then reconstructing something better without always relying upon the black community to tell us what they need and want and expect. Because the thing is, they are telling us. We're just not hearing
Oh, and
it. We're
have for a
not in
long time.
circles where we're listening to it or
So
haven't
bottom
been.
line, don't touch anybody else's hair
No.
without permission, especially someone whose hair has a very distinct connection to their culture, especially. But in general, nobody. Nobody.
And do not touch a pregnant woman's belly.
Right.
Don't
Without
even ask
permission.
if you can, unless you like are family.
And don't ask them if they're pregnant. Right after my daughter was born, I still had my maternity shirt that said something like bun and oven. It was clearly a maternity shirt, and it was 2 days after I gave birth to her, so I still had the big belly. And someone in the elevators of the maternity ward said something to me like, "Oh, congratulations, when are you due?" And I can forgive that because maternity shirt with a belly in the maternity ward, it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
safe bet,
It
right?
was a
But
safe
any
bet.
other context, it's a bad thing. In fact, one of my old colleagues, when I was about 5 or 6 months pregnant with my son, I told him that I was pregnant because he was polite enough not to ask. And he said, "Oh, I'm so glad because I was going to tell you that you're getting kind of big. You're getting kind of fat."
Don't do
And I
that
thought,
either.
would I rather have someone think I'm pregnant just because I'm fat or think I'm fat because I'm pregnant?
The very first winter that I was in Minnesota, I was out shoveling some snow in a parking lot of the apartments where we were living, and someone came screaming in. And they were like, no, 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 you shouldn't be. And they're like, oh, sorry. I thought you were my friend. She's like 8 months pregnant and
Oh,
she shouldn't be shoveling snow.
no, he thought you were his friend. So
I
it's
was an
impossible.
8 month pregnant friend.
Those big coats can be really unkind.
Yes, don't, but you don't have to say those things out loud. I guess I want to wrap up with the question that you started with. We were talking about vanity and pride. Have you shifted any of your thoughts since we started talking?
I find it interesting that probably a majority of our conversation was about our comfort in how people interact with other people's beauty and body and activities, not how we perceive and act on our own pride and vanity.
Let's give a few minutes to that. When those words, pride and vanity, come to you, what does that bring up for you?
I'd like to shove them away and pretend that I'm not prideful or vain. And I would like to shift that to be where I am proud of myself. I'd like to go out in the world comfortable in who I am and be happy with who I am and not call that pride or vanity. And go out in the world looking the way that I want to look for me, not to impress other people. I'm largely there in my life right now. I think there are certain things I need to sand down a little bit, but for the most part, I do go out in the world the way that I do for myself.
Vanity is another one of those words that I think is used to keep women down. Because if you think about it, there are not that many men who are called vain, and the ones who are very feminine in their expression of themselves.
So, what's the male equivalent of vanity?
I don't know that there is one. Arrogance, close.
It would be confidence instead of vanity. All right, we found another word that
Okay.
is
So
really only
vanity,
applicable to women.
I don't ever think of the word vanity when it's related to myself. It's not ever been a thing that I am concerned with. I don't think anyone's ever called me vain either, because also I have not historically been a particularly beautiful woman for the ages that I was at the time. So no one will be calling me vain because I'm not walking around looking like, although now I am. Now I am walking around the world feeling like I look damn hot, and I walk around like I look like that and don't care if other people don't agree with me. It's a reshaping, but the energy behind it, what other people call vanity and I call confidence, I think we need to lean into that more.
If you are liking our content, please like and subscribe. It's free, it helps the algorithm. And if not for us, do it for the dogs.
Thank you.